She was the first therapist ever hired to help young Michael Jackson. 3 weeks later, she was fired. Not by Joe Jackson, not by Motown, by Michael himself. What happened in those sessions changed her understanding of childhood trauma forever. This isn't just a story about professional rejection. It's about how one child's refusal to accept help became the foundation for helping thousands of other children find their voice. Sarah Martinez was 28 years old, fresh out of UCLA with a doctorate in child psychology, when the phone call that would change her life came from Motown Records. "We need you to work with the Jackson family," said Motown's personnel director. "Specifically with young Michael. The child seems stressed." Sarah knew about the Jackson 5, everyone did, but she had no idea they were working with a professional child psychologist. This could be a huge opportunity, Sarah thought. And they're paying well. But on the first day she would discover that everything was far more complicated than she'd imagined. When Sarah arrived at the Motown offices in Beverly Hills, the Michael Jackson waiting for her was only 11 years old, but his eyes looked decades older. "Hello, Michael," Sarah said gently. "I'm Dr. Martinez. I'm here to talk with you." Michael studied her carefully. "Are you one of them too?" "One of who?" "The adults who tell me what I have to do." Sarah was taken aback. No 11-year-old should speak like this. "No, Michael, I'm just here to listen. Everyone says that, but then they all end up telling me what I have to do anyway." Throughout that first session, Michael barely spoke. Sarah asked questions, suggested games, but the child remained closed off. "Are you happy, Michael? What's happiness?" That answer shook Sarah to her core. An 11-year-old child didn't know what happiness was. "Michael, when you're not performing, what do you like to do?" "I don't know. I'm always performing. But when you're alone in your room, I practice. Or I sleep. Sometimes I cry, but I try to do it quietly so nobody hears." Sarah made notes, but her hands were trembling. This wasn't just a stressed child. This was a child who had forgotten how to be a child. A week later, the second session went slightly better. Michael seemed more willing to talk. "Dr. Sarah, what did you want to be when you were a kid?" "Lots of things. An artist, a teacher, a ballerina. What do you want to be?" Michael was quiet for a long time. "I don't know. Nobody ever asked me." "Do you like singing? Does it matter if I like it?" "I have to do it." Sarah wrote in her notebook while fighting back tears. "Michael, what if I told you that you have the right to say no to things?" "Say no?" Michael looked confused. "I can't say no. If I say no, everyone gets angry. If I say no, I get in trouble. If I say no, I disappoint people." "But Michael, sometimes saying no is important. It's how we protect ourselves." "Protect myself from what?" Sarah realized she was walking into dangerous territory. From doing things that make you unhappy." "Everything makes me unhappy, so I'd have to say no to everything." The honesty of that statement broke Sarah's heart. During their third session, Michael seemed different. More agitated, more defensive. "Dr. Sarah, I had a dream about you. Tell me about it." "In my dream, you were trying to change me, just like everyone else. You were trying to make me into something I'm not." Sarah felt her stomach drop. "Michael, I'm not trying to change you. I'm trying to help you understand that you're perfect, exactly as you are." "No, I'm not. If I was perfect, people wouldn't be trying to fix me all the time." "Who's trying to fix you?" "Everyone. My dad says I need to work harder. Berry Gordy says I need to be more professional. The choreographers say I need to be more energetic. The voice coaches say I need better control. And now you're here, because everyone thinks something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with you, Michael. Then why are you here? Sarah realized she'd walked into a trap. It's true to all to you. Every adult in Michael's life was there to improve him, change him, make him better. From his perspective, she was no different. Michael, I'm here because I think you're an amazing child who deserves to be happy. You think I'm a child? Michael's voice got sharp. I work more than most adults. I make more money than most adults. I have more responsibility than most adults. But you think I'm just a child. You are a child, Michael. You're 11 years old. Age is just a number. I stopped being a child when I started working. The fourth session would be their last, though neither of them knew it at the time. Michael walked into the room differently, more confident, more adult-like. Dr. Sarah, I've been thinking about our talks. That's good, Michael. What have you been thinking? I've been thinking that you're just like everyone else. You want to change me. How am I trying to change you? You want me to be happy. You want me to act like a child. You want me to say no to things. But what if I don't want to be happy? What if I don't want to be a child? What if I can't say no? Sarah felt the session slipping away from her. Michael, every child deserves happiness. But what if I'm not every child? What if I'm different? What if my job is to make other people happy, not to be happy myself? That's not a child's job, Michael. It's my job. It's been my job since I was 5 years old. And I'm good at it. I make millions of people happy. Isn't that more important than making one kid happy? Sarah realized she was losing him. Michael, your happiness matters too. Does it? My family lives in a nice house because I'm not happy. My brothers have opportunities because I'm not happy. Millions of kids around the world smile when they hear our music because I'm not happy. Maybe my unhappiness serves a purpose. No child should have to sacrifice their happiness for others. But what if that's what makes me special? What if my purpose isn't to be happy, but to create happiness for others? Michael stood up from his chair, and for a moment he looked like a small adult making a business decision. Dr. Sarah, I don't think we should meet anymore. Michael, why? Because you're trying to convince me that I deserve something I can't have. And that makes everything harder. You can have happiness, Michael. No, I can't. And trying to believe I can just makes me sadder. I'd rather accept what is than hope for what can't be. Sarah felt tears forming. Michael, please don't give up. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. This is my life. This is who I am. Trying to change it just makes everyone frustrated. But you're so young. Dr. Sarah, thank you for trying, but I don't want you to come back anymore. It's not helping. It's making things worse. 3 hours later, Sarah received a call from Motown. Her services were no longer needed. Michael Jackson had requested that the therapy sessions be discontinued. For years, Sarah questioned everything about those 4 sessions. Had she pushed too hard? Had she misunderstood what Michael needed? Had she failed him when he needed help the most? The experience haunted her. She'd gone into child psychology to help children, but she'd been fired by the child who needed help the most. In 1975, 6 years after the Michael Jackson experience, Sarah was still struggling with what had happened. She'd worked with dozens of other children, but Michael's case remained a puzzle she couldn't solve. That's when she met Tommy Rodriguez, an 8-year-old child actor whose parents were pushing him toward a nervous breakdown. I don't want to act anymore, Tommy told her. But I can't say no. If I say no, everyone gets angry. Sarah heard Michael Jackson's voice in Tommy's words. Tommy, she said, What if I told you that you have the right to say no? What if I told you that your happiness matters more than anyone else's expectations? But what about my family? What about the money? What about disappointing people? Sarah realized she was having the conversation she'd wished she could have finished with Michael. That session with Tommy Rodriguez changed everything for Sarah. She finally understood what had gone wrong with Michael Jackson. She'd tried to give Michael permission to be happy, but she hadn't given him the tools to actually achieve it within his circumstances. I can't change Michael's situation, Sarah thought, but I can teach him how to find moments of happiness within it. Sarah developed a new approach. Instead of trying to change children's circumstances, she would teach them how to protect their inner selves while navigating difficult realities. She called it compartmental resilience, the ability to maintain your authentic self, even while fulfilling external obligations. In 1978, Sarah founded the Children First Institute based on this philosophy. The Children First Institute became revolutionary in child psychology. Instead of trying to remove children from difficult situations, Sarah taught them how to survive and even thrive within those situations while protecting their emotional core. The Institute specialized in child performers, young athletes, and other children in high-pressure environments. We don't try to make these children's lives easier, Sarah explained to colleagues. We make them stronger, more resilient, better able to maintain their sense of self. By 1990, the Institute had helped over 5,000 children. By 2000, it had gone international, with centers in 12 countries. Sarah's approach was based entirely on what she'd learned from her failure with Michael Jackson. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for a child is not to try to rescue them, but to give them the tools to rescue themselves. June 2009. Sarah was in her office at the Institute when her assistant brought her an envelope marked "Personal" and "Confidential." Inside was a handwritten letter. "Dear Dr. Sarah Martinez, you probably don't remember me, but I'm Michael Jackson. We worked together when I was 11 years old. I fired you after 4 sessions. I've thought about you many times. Over the years, I want you to know that you didn't fail me. You gave me something no other adult had given me, permission to have feelings about my situation. For the first time in my life, someone told me I deserved happiness. Even though I couldn't accept it then, that seed you planted grew inside me. I've followed your work with the Children First Institute. What you've built is incredible. You're protecting children in ways that I needed to be protected. I'm including a donation to your institute. Not because I feel sorry for you or guilty about firing you, but because I believe in what you're doing. You taught me that it's okay to want happiness, even if you can't have it. That lesson has gotten me through some very dark times. Thank you for seeing me as a child who deserved love, even when I couldn't see myself that way. Your former patient, Michael Jackson. The letter was dated 3 weeks before Michael's death. Enclosed was a check for $1 million. Reading Michael's letter, Sarah finally understood what had really happened in those therapy sessions 40 years earlier. Michael hadn't fired her because she'd failed. He'd fired her because she'd succeeded in showing him a version of himself he couldn't afford to be at the time. He wasn't ready for happiness then, Sarah realized. But I gave him permission to want it, and that was enough. Sarah used Michael's donation to establish the Michael Jackson Center for Child Performers within her institute. Today, Dr. Sarah Martinez is 83 years old and still active at the Children First Institute. The organization has helped over 50,000 children worldwide. Michael Jackson taught me the most important lesson of my career, Sarah says, from her office, where Michael's photo holds a place of honor. Sometimes the children who reject our help are the ones who teach us how to help others. The Institute's approach, developed from Sarah's experience with Michael, has been adopted by child psychology centers in 25 countries. We don't try to fix children, Sarah explains. We give them permission to be themselves, even in impossible circumstances. Sarah's revolutionary Michael Jackson method is now taught in psychology programs worldwide. Step 1. Validate the child's reality. Don't try to minimize or change their circumstances. Acknowledge them. Step 2. Preserve their inner self. Help them identify and protect their authentic feelings, even if they can't act on them. Step 3. Plant seeds of self-worth. Give them permission to want happiness, even if they can't have it immediately. Step 4. Build compartmental strength. Teach them to separate their performance from their identity. Michael couldn't use these tools when he was 11, Sarah says, but the fact that I offered them gave him hope. And hope, even deferred hope, can sustain a person through incredible darkness. Every year on Michael Jackson's birthday, Sarah speaks to the children at her institute about a little boy who taught her how to help thousands of other children. Michael Jackson was my greatest teacher, she tells them. He taught me that sometimes we help people not by changing their situation, but by changing how they see themselves within that situation. The children listen intently as Sarah explains how Michael's rejection became her inspiration. He fired me because I tried to give him something he couldn't accept at the time. But I planted a seed, and 40 years later, that seed grew into this entire institute. Today, the Children First Institute operates in 25 countries and has helped over 50,000 children in high-pressure situations. Sarah's methods are used by child psychologists worldwide. Her book, The Child Who Fired Me, Lessons in Resilience from Michael Jackson, is required reading in psychology programs. People ask me if I regret being fired by Michael Jackson, Sarah says, but being fired by him was the greatest gift of my career. It taught me that failure isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of understanding. In 2019, Prince Jackson, Michael's eldest son, visited the Children First Institute. My father mentioned you many times, Prince told Sarah. He said you were the first adult who told him his feelings mattered. Your father taught me how to help children find strength in impossible circumstances, Sarah replied. Prince toured the facilities and met with children who were struggling with the same pressures his father had faced. This is exactly what my father would have wanted, Prince said. Children having advocates who understand what they're going through. Prince now serves on the Institute's board of directors and has helped establish 3 new centers. Sarah's story teaches us that sometimes our greatest failures become our most important successes. I failed to help one child, Sarah says, but that failure taught me how to help thousands of others. She believes that Michael Jackson's childhood, while tragic, served a purpose by inspiring better protection for other children. Michael's pain wasn't meaningless, Sarah explains. It became the foundation for preventing other children's pain. The Institute's motto, inspired by Michael's letter, reads, "Every child deserves permission to want happiness." Dr. Sarah Martinez was fired by Michael Jackson after 4 sessions in 1969. That rejection became the foundation for a revolutionary approach to child psychology that has helped 50,000+ children worldwide. Michael Jackson taught me that sometimes the most important thing you can give a child isn't solutions, it's permission to have feelings about their problems, Sarah says. The therapist who couldn't save Michael Jackson became the advocate who saved thousands of other children by using the lessons she learned from that failure. He fired me because I tried to give him something he couldn't accept. Sarah reflects, but 40 years later, he wrote to thank me for planting the seed. Sometimes the most important work we do takes decades to bloom. Sometimes the children who reject our help teach us how to help others. Sometimes professional failure becomes personal purpose. And sometimes a letter arriving 40 years too late is actually arriving exactly on time. Dr. Sarah Martinez was fired by an 11-year-old Michael Jackson in 1969. Today she's helped over 50,000 children find their voice because of what that 11-year-old taught her about the courage to say no. That's not just a career pivot, that's transformation, that's legacy. That's the power of learning from rejection.